Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work.
Welcome to Let's Talk with Carl Lee, where sports, culture, and community intersect. Join Carl and frequent co-host Hollis Lewis as they dive into engaging conversations with guests from all walks of life. Let's Talk is proudly presented by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. FrankWalkerLaw.com. Let the conversation begin on Let's Talk.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Let's Talk with Carl Lee. And my co-host Hollis Lewis is in studio.
Hello.
And he, West Virginia Project Director of Crisis Intervention and Community Programs. And we have the football queen, Lisa Odie. And she's not in studio, but she's on the phone. She works at Kanawha County Schools as a reading specialist. Let's Talk is presented by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. You can visit Frank Walker at FrankWalkerLaw.com for more information. You can also catch Let's Talk with Carl Lee every Sunday at 1 p.m. and Thursday at 7 p.m. on 580 WCHS. If you want to watch any of that past episodes, you can go to WCHSnetwork.com/Let's Talk. You can follow us on Facebook with Let's Talk with Carl Lee for any of the updates. Lisa and Hollis, I'm all over the board today, man.
Yeah.
Like there's like so many different kinds of things that are happening right now, and I want to jump in right with Marshall, and Coach Huff. Now, early in the season, and I'm curious about how you guys will relate to this and where you take it. Early on in the season, I think everybody, and I won't say everybody, but there were a lot of people saying, him and Neil Brown looked like they weren't going to make it, right? And all of a sudden, things change.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, we're hearing that, there's a possibility that, he may go somewhere else, and there's some conversation.
We're talking about Coach Huff.
Coach Huff. Yeah. And we're and there's some conversation. I was reading some of it, like from different folks who are saying, like, now all of a sudden we don't want him to leave, or if he leaves, that's not really right. How is, to me, I think he has a right to make this choice however he wants to. If he wants to step out, go somewhere else, even more so because of, and I don't want to say really because, but he has seen how fickle fans can be. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I put this whole kind of thought process of firing coaches on fan base. I put it on the fan base. You
can't do that.
I can
necessarily. I mean, if you're not winning games,
I'm listening to both of y'all. I'm listening to both of y'all. I'm gonna sit here and say nothing.
Go ahead, Lisa.
No, it's not on the fan base. I mean, I really feel like, he's winning. He's doing things in Huntington, and other schools are like, hey, they're giving him the side eye, and he's got to listen to people.
I agree.
And I really don't feel like, though, this is on the fan base at all. I mean, I feel like this is something that I think Huntington wants to keep him. I really do.
I think that too. But early on, there was the conversation about he might need to go.
I think fan bases are going to, obviously just be fanatic. They're going to be fans, right? So they're going to want to see you win. And I think the thing that Coach Huff does good is he's going to schedule those tough games. He scheduled at Ohio State. He's going to schedule that Virginia Tech. He's going to schedule that Notre Dame. So he's going to see exactly where his talent is versus those Power 5 talents.
Do you think those games have a lot to do with where the season has taking a turn?
Yeah,
upward?
I think so, because I mean, when you're measured against the best, when you're competing against the best, that's again, it's going to let you know exactly where you stand, exactly what you need to do good at, exactly what your strengths are. So that way, when you come back down to your conference play, I think you're going to be more prepared. And I think he does I like that he does that. I like that he plays the very best. And I think that what we're going to have to get used to, at least in regards to our major universities, Marshall and WVU, is exactly how do we measure success? You know, because I've spoke about this on the streets 1,000 times, right? When you're a WVU, it's going to be very hard for you playing in the Big 12 to compete for recruits in Texas. It's going to be very hard. When you're a Marshall and you're playing in the Sun Belt, it's going to be very hard for you to recruit for recruits in Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, and Louisiana. So your recruiting base is thrown off because you're not playing in the MAC and the Big East no more, right? Yep. So I think how you measure success is going to be a little bit different. And I think specifically with Coach Huff, I mean, he's picked, 15, 16 players in the NFL since he's been at Marshall. So I think how we measure success, whether that's are you getting guys to the next level, are you winning, are you going to bowl games, are you graduating guys, that's going to be the measure in addition to your W&L record.
And Lisa, before you jump in, I'm going to make this case again. I've said this 1,000 times. I was part of the selection committee who was for Coach Huff. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, sitting and listening to him talk about his strategy, how he was going to do things, like it was systematical, and it was like something I had never heard in my life.
He's a Nick Saban guy. Right? He's from that tree.
Yeah. And so Lisa, I got a chance to hear this man talk about a plan, having a step one to step whatever to get to where he wants to go.
Okay, I'm going to agree with everything he said. But I'm also going to say that Southern Miss wants him, okay? Mm-hmm. He's interested. He's listening to them, of course. They have deeper NIL. They have more connections with the portal. I mean, I love Huntington. I love Marshall. I went to school there. You know, it's my home. But when you look at what they could offer him compared to what Huntington can offer him, besides Tudor's biscuits.
Shout out to Tudor's biscuits.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's got to listen to them. And I think now, it used to be that we had our fate in our own hands. Like we were like, okay, whether or not we want to keep him. But now that he's winning and now that he's attracting attention from these other schools, it's out of our hands. I really feel like that. I really feel like he has a possibility to move on to a school that has more resources than he has in Huntington.
And I think to add on to that, location too. Like I said, you're competing in the Sun Belt, and you're if Southern Miss is the school, you're right in the heart of the Sun Belt Conference, right?
Right.
So your recruiting base. Not that it's going to be necessarily easy to recruit, particularly with NIL and transfer portal, but at least you're not you don't have to sell your location. I'll say that.
Well, and to that, and add to that, there's no way I think a coach moves to another school without talking about the potential of NIL.
I mean, that's the reality. That is what it is.
Where are the funds that will help me make that change? Because now we can't be crazy and assume that somebody's not going to follow him.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, NIL is part of the deal now. It's just it is what it is. You're not taking a job without figuring out who's the pockets, where's the money coming from, how much you got, and different things of that nature. That is what it is.
Were you trying to say something, Lisa?
I mean, that's why Huntington has issues with keeping a coach. Let's just look at reality. I mean, he could go there and have way more resources and probably do as well, if not better, than he does at Huntington. I mean, that's just reality.
Let me ask this to both of you. It seems like almost every year there's something around Coach Huff. Something. Is he a bigger coach than maybe what we give him credit for? Because there's been a lot of conversation about different things around him that he could go to, he can get. Is he bigger than what we are appreciating him for?
Yes. I'm going to say yes.
I would say yes, and I think we have to understand again. He comes from he came from Alabama. He came from Nick Saban's coaching tree, right? So he has that sort of pedigree. And I would also say, obviously Marshall isn't Alabama or Notre Dame, but I think if you look at Marshall's facilities, you look at what we have to offer, it's a pretty good job. And I think even regionally, far as being in the tri-state area where you can recruit West Virginia, Huntington, Kentucky, Virginia. So I think you do have a good base here, and it is a great job. Hopefully, like I said, I would like to see him stay. Hopefully it's not a stepping stone job for him, but I wouldn't be mad if it was.
Go ahead, Lisa.
No, I wouldn't be mad either. I agree. I agree with Hollis. He's got to do what's best for him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And, I think our fan base lost faith at the beginning of the season and last season. But look what he's done for the program. Yeah. Those kids love him. I think he's a great recruiter. And I'm with Carl. I think some kids will follow him if he goes there.
And he's picking guys in the NFL too.
Yes. Yes.
He's picking guys in the league.
Yes. That post today on Facebook, you're looking at that. And you could compare that to just about any school.
That's what I'm saying. To me, and that's what I was trying to allude to earlier, I think when you look at success, we could talk about wins and losses, and that's cool. And we all want to win the conference and, bring back the Chad Pennington, Randy Moss days for sure. We want that, right? But I think if I'm a parent, if I'm a player, and that's my goal, and that's what I aspire to do is go to the NFL, and I'm looking at what he's done over the past 3 seasons, pitting 15, 16 guys in the league, that might be a selling point for me.
Be a freshman. Yeah. And you're being recruited there, and you hear that. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That would have it wouldn't matter where he was at. He tells me he's got 10 players in the NFL. Where's the paper at? I'm signing on that. You know what I'm saying? Because if that's your dream, and that's a whole lot of kids' dreams, he's the guy to go through.
Yeah, and he's taken Marshall to a bowl every year since he's been there. We can't argue that fact. Yeah. And he's successful, and I don't know what Marshall's thinking. I know I've heard rumors that Huntington was done. That they already have somebody in the background, in the shadows, that they want there that is getting a staff together. And you probably have heard that too.
I have heard that.
Okay. So, now that he's winning, we're all like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe we're thinking too quickly in getting rid of him. But you know what? I just feel like you can't blame it on the fan base, really, because
I'm not blaming the fan base, but I think not just Marshall's fan base. I think the in general fans have the ability to jump ship in a couple of losses.
I'll look anywhere.
That's what I'm saying. To me, I'm thinking as a fan, I'm not upset. Vikings lose a game. I'm not upset. They don't necessarily bother me to it.
But you're not a fanatic neither.
No,
you got to put yourself in their place. When you're not associated as a player, you're a fanatic about the team. It's related to your emotions.
But you have to think. You have to put yourself in a place of what is normal in winning football games, basketball games, baseball games. It's not like you can just go out there and you just assume a team is 500 and you only lost one game or no games. You can't automatically assume you can win that game. We see that happen all the time.
Fans do that, though. That's what fans do, man. That's why they fans.
But if there are any fans that are listening in on this show, I'm trying to make the case. I'm trying to make the case that just enjoy your team. It's gonna be ups and downs. It just and it ain't always the coach's fault.
That's
it ain't
why
always.
that's why they fans. We need you to be crazy. We need you to be emotional. We need you to be passionate about this. We need you to
I
go
don't have
crazy.
any problem with
buy the
passion.
merch. We need fans like that. We can't have melancholy, just middle of the road fans.
No, I want him to. I want him to be. I want him to be happy. I want him to be mad. But you can't. You don't have the place to put the blame on somebody.
Yeah, I think there's a perspective. I mean, I would agree with you. There's a perspective. And like I said, when you look at Coach Huff, I mean, he took those big games. Obviously, those are not only, you're measuring yourself against pretty good schools, but you're also, it's a check involved in that. So you're bringing resources back to the program. And it's going to be a rough start, because you're going to have guys beat up. So that start of the season is going to be rough when you start that way. But I think what he's proven is that as the season's gone on, that he's able to win and he's actually gotten to the rhythm. And in addition, like I said, to me, the biggest point of Coach Huff, he picking guys in that league, and you can't argue with me on that.
I'm to your valid point. If I see that, and I say I'm a Marshall fan, that to me is having an impact on the players in which you touch.
I like that. Yeah, 100%.
And that is greater than a win, a bowl game.
No.
To me,
But
at the end of the day, if you're touching each one of them.
But this is you're talking about the educated fan. You're not talking about
Yeah.
run-of-the-mill fan is in the stands to see a win. They want to see their team win. They're not
100%.
looking at who the guy got in the NFL. They're not looking at, the connection he has with the players. The run-of-the-mill fan, not the educated fan, is out there to see the herd have a victory. And that's the difference. That's the difference, I think. And I don't know what's going to happen. I wish him well. I think he's been an awesome asset to Marshall Athletics. I hope he stays. But you know what? I can't blame the guy if he goes.
Let me ask you this: do you think he goes? Do you think if he's offered the position at Southern Miss, do you think he takes it and goes? Just speculation.
Okay.
Because it's a rebuild. It's a rebuild again.
Okay.
Yeah, I really feel like speculation with it's an upgrade. It really is. I mean, I don't want to say that it's not. I don't want to put Marshall down.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's an upgrade for him, and I feel like he's got more resources at that level, and that's where I think he might jump ship.
Huh.
But now their record, if I look that up right, they don't have a winning record. So it's still a rebuild, and
has resources.
But again, okay, I buy into the resources, but my question to you would be, do I want to go through this process again?
Yeah,
do I want to start?
And that's my point. I mean, because like I said,
start over again?
You kind of got things rolling at Marshall, and I can see a situation in Marshall in the next couple seasons. They can have that, 9-3. They can be at 10-2.
Yes.
They could really propel themselves maybe in the top 25, top 15. And now you go to a situation, again, to your point, Lisa, you got more resources down there. You're in a better locale, but you got to start all over.
You got to start over.
Is that worth it?
I will say this: Marshall's got to pony up. They got to take care of him. They've got to reassure him that, okay, we've got your back. We want you here. We want you for the long term. Mm-hmm. We're going to do things to keep you here. I mean, there's so many scenarios in this whole debacle, in my opinion, but. I wouldn't be surprised if he jumped ship. Honestly, that's just.
Yeah, I mean, I can't necessarily argue that, but I think there is. I don't think it's clear cut. I think there's things to consider if you're, what I'm saying, on both sides. I say Marshall.
I agree with you, Hollis,
and Huff, because to start over is tough, man.
Yeah, and. Even with the resources, you still starting over.
You still start because you're still competing. NIL, transfer portal, you're still competing.
Yeah,
Maybe he wants the challenge. Maybe that's how he's built.
True.
I can make that case. I could see that. I could see that in him too. That like, hey, I did it here, and I can go somewhere else. And if I'm going to have maybe more resources, why don't I go there?
Yeah,
because it could be quicker, a quicker process there than it was here.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Well, I'll say this, and I'm curious of what you both say and how you respond to it. For Marshall, I hope he stays.
Yeah.
I
do too.
Yeah, I think for the players who have had a chance to play for him and understand who he is and how he operates, I think a challenge of a new coach, I think would be extremely difficult. And I don't know how I don't leave and follow him.
Yeah, and I think I like he has a lot of local kids. I think if you look at the Payne brothers, the running back, the tight end, you look at the kids he's got from Cabell Middle in the Spring Valley. Yep. I would really love to see our local in-state guys really consider Marshall, our elite talent here. Because I think we could really build, and I just like what he's done with some of our in-state talent. So I would hope he stays, but again, I would understand if he left going green and patch, particularly if the check is bigger. Now, if that check bigger, like to Lisa's point, people got to pony up. So, and that's going to be, and that might be a tough challenge for Marshall at this juncture.
Lisa,
yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you guys. I mean, I think he's the best thing that's happened. I really hated the way Doc left. That upset me. But then when he came in and did what he did, I felt like it was a good move in the long run. But I'm like you guys. I really feel like that Huntington's they've got to show him that you're our guy. You're our guy, and we're in it for the long haul, and we want to keep you here. Yeah. So we'll see how it pans out. I don't know, but I mean, that's a lot to ask in this day and age with NIL and transfer portal. We've all talked about that many, many a time, not to beat a dead horse, but, you go where your opportunities and your resources are. Yeah. So we'll see.
Best coach since Bob Pruitt?
Doc has some pretty good.
I didn't say he did. Yeah. I just asked the question. Man. Second, I'm saying Pruitt, and is he the second best coach? It could be the third. You may say he's the third.
I mean, I think it's still early kind of to say that. I mean, he's 3 seasons in, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's 3 seasons in.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think that's early because I mean it's hard to because I think Doc had some pretty good years.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean 3 years and you're pitting that many guys in the league. To me, that stands out to me.
That's what gets me. Yeah. That's what gets me. That's what makes it, I think, so relevant. Yeah. To what he's actually doing and what these kids like, whether he can bring that caliber of a player in, or he can bring a player in and develop them to that level. Whichever one of those it is, and he's still producing.
And that's why I like Marshall highlighted that. I'm actually I like that they put that out there. Yeah, because that's relevant. It's relevant, and it's like I said, if you're a kid, if you're a talent, and you're really, like I said, to your point, Lisa. To your point, if you're not only an educated fan, but you're also an educated parent and player, then you're going to realize that, right? So
yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, I really feel like he could bring the players in, the quality players.
For sure.
The ones that, like you just said, the ones that understand what he can bring to the table, so to speak. But I just don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm kind of I really like him, but things to me look a little grim. I mean, I don't know if I can keep him. I really don't.
I don't think he'll stay. That's my thought.
I mean, after this season, you think he's going?
I think if there's any particular opportunity that he can get this season, I think he goes, because I think he may have. I think in this season, I think it may have. Maybe he was kind of shocked of all the kind of outside noise.
Think so?
Maybe.
Or is it just like you just
he might have played it off. He might, but
or you just want to go bigger. I mean,
could be possible
bigger
too.
Goals, right?
Because here, look, I done this. I came here and I done this here.
Yeah.
So I can. So I'm not afraid of that team that's got a losing record. We can rebuild there. I rebuild that. I come right after Marshall and I go right there and rebuild that.
Then you might be Alabama.
Yeah,
Notre
now
Dame.
you're talking about big. Now you're talking about a big house to go to.
Yeah.
How old is Huff? How old is he? How old is Huff? Does anybody know?
40s, early 40s.
I was going to think early 40s is what I was
going to think. He's a young guy.
Yeah.
He's not an older guy.
He's got plenty of time to climb that ladder. So, I mean, it's not like he's, in his 50s or, looking to retire somewhere. He's still on that track.
But I say, man, the money they're giving these coaches, and not only just the money that you're getting for, if you're winning, losing, but if you get to a point where you have some big wins, you go to this big school. I mean, the buyout money. Yeah. I mean, you look at what happened like Jimbo Fisher, right? Where you did good, you won national championship, then things kind of fell off the rail. I mean, this buyout was like $50-60 million. You know what I'm saying? So if I was a coach, I might be playing for the buyout. Let me go ahead and win. Let me go ahead and get some W's under my belt. Get a national championship, then I'm gonna just sit back and y'all gotta fire me. And I need that $60-70 million buyout.
Hollis is like, show me the money.
For real, I'm just saying it's there.
And you kind of have to. Yeah. I'm thinking at that
Jimbo
level,
Fisher ain't
man,
rushing back. You don't see him rushing back.
Yeah, I think at that kind of level, when you're in that level, it is about the money, because your coaching is not in question. It's about how much will you pay me to come and coach your team.
Yeah, man. So, like I said, it's money all the way around that thing, from your salary to your buyout to your NIL deals, to your endorsements and everything like that, right? So, man, I ain't mad at him, man, at all.
No, can't be mad.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna switch it. I know we're probably gonna end up going to a break before we kind of jump into it, but high school football. Yes, high school football.
Here we go.
Everybody's favorite subject.
We know it's win or go home.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just got the signal that we're getting ready to take a break. I'll be right back. So, all right. We'll be right back.
Let's Talk with Carl Lee is presented by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. FrankWalkerLaw.com. Comment on episodes, ask Carl and Hollis questions, or suggest topics at our Facebook page. Search for Let's Talk with Carl Lee, and remember to like the page to become part of the conversation.
Let's face it, bad things happen to good people. Seriously injured in a car accident, trucking accident, or even wrongfully arrested. Life happens, and when it happens to you, you will need sound legal advice and aggressive representation. That's when you call attorney Frank Walker at 304-413-0179. That's 304-413-0179. Lock it in your phone, text it to a friend. 304-413-0179. Or visit online at attorneyfrankwalker.com.
Find previous episodes of Let's Talk at WCHSnetwork.com/Let's Talk. This is Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Now, back to the conversation.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carl Lee, and I got Hollis Lewis, and I think we may still have Lisa Odie on the phone.
I'm still here, guys.
There. Okay.
It's rid of me that easy.
All right. Okay. High school football, man. It's a little bit of everywhere.
Well, let me say this too.
Okay.
That the playoffs have started. So it started, I think, last week after we had a conversation about the Supreme Court ruling. So it's back on last week. And what I found out too is that every 2 years, so actually the 4A class that only currently has 16 teams, that actually won't be changed next year. So they'll I think the rules, as it's stated, is they'll change every 2 years. So we'll look for a change in 2026, possibly to, expand that thing out.
All right. Well, let me ask this question. So let's say if I'm AAA and I win AAA championship 2 years in a row, is that the kind of change they're looking at?
No, that doesn't really. I don't think that's going to matter. But I think how they're going to do it is simplified. They're just going to do it by enrollment. I would imagine, again, that's just my educated guess, that when they go to change it again, which I think they have to expand that 4A class, at least to get 20-25 teams in there, it's going to be strictly based on enrollment. They're not going to fool with no complex formula that's vague and maybe even overly broad.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so. So that's just my speculation, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We've had I shouldn't say we've had, but high school football has had an interesting weekend of, can we call it drama?
Yeah. Always something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm gonna speak specifically for myself when it comes to dealing with referees. There is zero chances of you ever having any impact on an official. Zero. You can yell, you can cuss, you can threaten, you can do all of that. But there's zero impact that you're going to have on a game.
Yeah.
They're going to call the game.
Anything is going to be against you, right? I mean, if anything, they're going to rule it. They're going to hold it against you, right?
Well, did you all see the UConn game, the basketball game?
I saw a little clip, but I didn't see the whole game.
And look, I'm telling you, like it was out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, the coach was going crazy. They were calling fouls. And again, I'm not a basketball player, but if the official makes that call, this was like a weekend of like the reality of officiating and because I guess my question is you can't do anything about it. The only thing we're doing is getting some kind of a technical that ends up causing you to lose the game.
Right.
And now you talk about a coach. What's the coach tell you as a player about getting a technical? What does he say to you about staying calm? You got to stay calm. You can't get upset. But when I see you do it and you get a tech and we lose the game, what example are you giving me?
I think there's room if you are a coach and you are experiencing something like Dan Hurley experienced where you're looking at just a series of bad calls. You as a coach, it's almost like I have to stand up for my players. And I have to – and at that point, I'm almost allowed to lose my cool, to voice my opinion to the referees, and I have to make a statement to like, hey, guys, I'm going to handle this. I'll take it on. I'll take the text. I'll get kicked out. I'll get fined. But I have to say something to let these referees, let the conference, let whoever, commissioners, let whoever know that this is wrong and we can't do this, and they have to fix it during in-game. So you have to say, I think in that situation, you got to say something. And it might cause you to get kicked out. And I think your players are going to respect, hey, Coach rolled for us on that one.
Okay, Lisa?
I agree to a point with Hollis. But I also think those referees, they're not paid enough to really call a game in favor of one team or another. I really think they're out there doing the best they can. And you may agree or disagree with what they call, but I really feel like what we've got out there, they're not biased. I mean, unless you want to go down this rabbit hole of conspiracy theory and say, well, they were for this team or against this team or whatever. I really feel like those referees are out there doing the best they can. And you can voice your concerns. You can say, okay, I don't agree with this call or I agree with this call, whatever. But I don't feel like they're out there trying to sabotage games. I don't feel that way.
I agree with that. I don't think they're purposely trying to sabotage games, but just like a team, a coach, or whoever, they can have a bad, terrible night. I think refs can have a bad, terrible night too.
I 100% agree.
So, but their bad or terrible night may cost you the game. So if I'm the coach and you're having just an awful night calling this game, you're missing everything that's in front of you. I gotta say something.
But if you as the coach are having a bad night, or you and
or we ain't talking about
wait
that.
Wait a minute, or your players having your star players having a bad. What do we say? But everybody's. That's possible.
That's
Everybody
a false
can have
equivalency.
No,
if I'm having a bad night or my players are having a bad night, then we just lost the game. Right? But if I'm having a good night, if I have a mediocre night, and now my refs, who is supposed to, like Lisa said, supposed to be unbiased, right? Who is supposed to be impartial, and you're having a bad night that's going to cost me outside of what I can control, I got to say something to you.
And you say, okay.
How do you know? I mean, as a coach, how do you know that, unless you have the TV in front of your face, how do you know that they're really that bad of calls?
Oh, we know. You done been on the sidelines, Coach.
And
you know.
But I don't say nothing.
All right, that's fine that you don't say.
Because there's no reason.
But we ain't talking about whether you say something or not. But you know the referees are stinking it up that night.
And if I know it, what's the benefit of me getting a 15?
Because it ain't even about that game, particularly in a game sport like basketball where you can lose a couple games. All right, that's fine. It's about the perception to your players, because your players know they stinking it up. The fans know they stinking it up. The coach know the referees are stinking it up this night. And as a coach, I gotta ride for them, particularly if you're stinking it up and all the calls is going against me.
Here's what I'm gonna do. And Lisa, he's so locked in. I'm gonna just address this to you. All right, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna call a timeout.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring my team over, and I'm gonna tell my team, okay, look, it's not going our way.
Yeah,
this is not going our way. The calls are not gonna go our way. But there's a place and time in life that you're gonna be in a situation that life is not gonna point you in the right direction. And you don't get a chance to fight your way out of that. You have to rethink everything that you're doing and get back on some track that'll get you going where you're going to go.
I feel you. You're right on that, and I ain't saying you're not right. But what I'm saying is that particularly, let's just say this. And I was at a game recently, and I won't call the teams or anything like that. I was at a game recently, and this ref, I'm not saying he was picking on this particular player, because this particular, he's rowdy. He's a passionate guy, right? But the calls got a little ticky-tack. And I'm saying at that point, you as the coach, you got to ride for your team. You got to ride for that player, because everybody's accountable on the field.
Is there
everybody on the court, rather?
Lisa,
court.
Listen to me now. Lisa. There has to be a place in there where you have to be the example, because
exactly.
And to me, I'm thinking I'm going to try to be the example. That's I don't care what the call is. I don't care how bad it is, because I can yell and scream. I know for a fact I've had 100 pass interferences, and I probably only really had 50. But what was I going to do? What was I going to do?
That for a minute.
But I say this: you're right. 90% of the time, that's the right mindset, and that's the right thing to do. I'm talking about in those 5 to 10% of the time, like what Dan Hurley experienced. He should have been going crazy.
He should have been going crazy. And he was. And he lost the game.
That's fine, though. You lost the game. You win the locker room. You win the locker room.
I don't know.
You gonna win. I'm telling you, you gonna win. You lose the game. Fine. You get fined. Fine. You may even get suspended. Fine. But you gonna win them boys, or the women. They gonna ride for you. Like, coach ride for us. That's what I'm saying. In moments like this, it ain't about the game. It ain't about the win or losses. It ain't about nothing else. But you gonna that locker room. You won them for the rest of the year. And I guarantee you, from this game, they are going to ride harder for Coach Hurley than they ever rode before. That's what I'm saying. Moments like this, you win the locker room. And that's why we've seen Bob Knight get kicked out, kick chairs, go crazy. We've seen, and not every time, some of that stuff he was probably just being too emotional. But in those special moments where really the referees really was thinking it up and he had a legitimate gripe, he won them boys. He won the locker room. That's what that moment was about. That's a locker room win. I'm selling him right now. I'm preaching to him now.
Lisa, help me with this.
But I'm gonna preach back.
Okay, come on.
You may have won the locker room, but what kind of example did you set for those boys? Okay, so the next game they go out there thinking, okay, you know what? I may mess up. I might just do a little personal foul here and there because coach will take care of it. I mean, there's the other side of it. I understand what you're saying, Hollis, that, you win the players, that they feel like coach has your back, but you also have to teach respect for, I don't want to say authority, but respect
but that's
for
a good one.
the game.
So, yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. Authority's right.
And so, that they may be all fired up, but they're kids. And in the ultimate lesson of life, as a coach, you teach kids to respect what is going on in a game. And you learn that these refs, they suck. They stink tonight. But you know what? In the overall picture of it, we are going to be the better person. We're going to overcome it. You know what? If you lose a game because of calls, you probably shouldn't have won a game anyway.
But I think, but I think, and to your point, and I think everything is in context, right? I think he would be able to, and I think he probably did explain himself in totality. Like, look, this is the reason. Boo, boo, boo. This ain't the example, but I think that we are allowed. We are allowed to, like I said, if that's not your mode of operandus, you're allowed to have those moments. And I think, because we talk about kids, these are grown men too and grown women, right? I think they're going to understand in that moment, right? They understand like why you reacted that way in that specific moment, and that may not be a reflection of your overall character and how you do things.
I don't judge him on his character or who he is as a man or as a coach. I'm not judging that. I'm judging that moment, and in that moment, what I'm doing is I'm also now. How do I tell you as my player? Don't say anything, because
it's my responsibility to deal with that. You told us that. You what you would say. I remember every game, or at least I would say every game. You said, "Let me deal with the referees."
Yep.
That's what you would say. That's my job. Your job is to go out there and play, listen to the coach, woo, woo, woo. Let me deal with the referees. That's your job as the coach.
And the way and my way of handling it was simply, I'm going to ask the question. Was that a call?
And that's right 90% of the time. We ain't talking about that.
So
we talking about them little.
That 10%.
That little 5-10% of the time.
That 10%.
Where you might have to just go out and kick some, you know what.
Lisa, that 10% cost them a game.
And that's fine.
I don't see.
You won the locker room. You won the locker room. You won your player. You won your players' respect.
So you're going to go in. You're going to go in and tell the guys that we lost this game because of the officials.
No.
I don't think you say that.
What do you say?
It's never true.
What do you say?
Go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I'm just saying that's never true.
Yeah. I agree with that.
It comes down to the cause of a referee.
Mm-hmm.
Then that cannot be the reason why you lost the game. There's so many other plays that you had opportunities to not come down to a referee's call. So I'll never buy that.
Because if you leave it to the official, the chances of you losing is greater.
But we're not talking, again, we're not talking about 1 or 2 calls. We're talking about a series of calls that was wretched. We're talking about a series of, we're talking about a game which they look like they had blinders on.
I don't think all those calls were bad.
Okay,
some of them were. I'll give you some of them.
But what I'm saying is, in that situation, you go in the locker room, you say, look, guys, it was up against us today. If things weren't right, we probably could have did X, Y, Z better. Once we break down the film, we'll see exactly what we could have did better. But, it was a situation in which I didn't feel like we were being treated fairly. My guys, you guys weren't being treated fairly, and I had to come in there and make it known. Now, did I overreact? Did I da-da-da-da-da? Then you can go down that road. But if I don't feel like you're being treated fairly, I'm coming to ride with you no matter what. In those small, and we don't see these situations every day. We don't. We see them. This might be 1-2 games a year, possibly, if that, possibly.
Yeah.
So you got to go crazy. You got to go off.
It's not a common occurrence.
Exactly.
It's not a common occurrence that games are decided by referee call.
100%.
We all know that.
Yeah.
And I will. And like I said, I'm watching the game now. Were some of those touchy? Yes.
Yeah.
Some of them I would like, well, yeah, that actually is a foul. But once you got into it got so close and the call started going one way, I can understand them it being ugly for them.
Yeah.
But once they got the tech, it was like, oh, y'all done now. But now that's you got 2 shots, now you got the ball.
I almost compare it to like John Thompson when he had like Alonzo Mourning and Patrick Ewing. He would tell them, look, that first shot to come in the lane, to go up, I don't care if it's goaltend or not. You knock that thing into the stands. We'll take the goaltend. We'll take the penalty. We'll take whatever. And I'm saying as a coach, sometimes, I ain't saying all the time, I'm saying 1 or 2 times a year, every other year, every couple years, you got to take that and you got to ride for your boys.
Okay, now, with saying that,
yeah.
I'm guilty, and again, this is prior to all the CTE stuff. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I would say when I was coaching at State to the defensive guys, especially the guys in the secondary, a dude come across the middle, but we'll take 15.
That's what I'm saying.
We'll take that first 15.
And that's what I'm saying. And as a coach,
I ain't got nothing to say.
And as a coach, you might have to take that 15 from time to time. And I just think this time, particularly being early in the season, you just coming off a championship. This was they don't know what they done did to that program. I guarantee you they're gonna be in the tournament, and I would almost bet money. I'm not even a gambler, but I would almost put like a prop bet that they're gonna be in that championship again based off what happened there. They done fueled that team and fueled that coach for the whole season.
Nah.
I'm telling you.
Well.
I don't know how we start talking about basketball. We start talking about football.
Let me do the flip side of it, guys. Let me do the flip side. So you as a coach, you're not agreeing with what the referees are calling, right? Mm-hmm. You're out there, you're doing the things, you're doing whatever it is, and so then the referees get kind of, because we're all human. They're human.
100%.
We're all human. Out there is a sporting event. We're all humans. So then they got it in their mind, well, this coach is an ass. Oh, sorry. Probably shouldn't say that on the air. But anyway, so don't you think that kind of like puts it in the favor of they're going to call calls, ticky-tack calls, because they think that you are being what I said.
I would agree. I mean, I agree with you on that. I agree with you. But again, I don't think we're talking about just like the average game. I think we're talking about those just unique circumstances like what happened the other night.
Well, because you're talking about a ranked team against a non-ranked team. It was perfectly set up and structured for this mess.
Yeah.
Everything possible was in line for this to happen.
And it's going to be good. I think this is going to be great for UConn.
All right, we don't have much time, but I really want to jump into Deion Sanders and his conversation on Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
He's upset because he didn't get one of the awards.
We didn't get considered for the.
He didn't get considered for. I think it was the Thorpe award,
which goes to the best
defensive back
in the nation. Yeah.
Wasn't even in the top 3. Okay?
That's insane.
Okay.
Why do you think that?
Why do I think it happened?
Yeah.
Because it's Deion. My personal reason, I think it's Deion. I think if he would have been in the 3.
Okay.
In the 3, if he was in the 3 in the selection, he wasn't even in the 3.
Exactly.
And this is the best player in the country.
That happens to be a defensive back.
That just happens to be a defensive back.
Yeah.
How can he not be in the 3?
So why is he not? Wow.
I think there's the reality of how much can we give to Prime? How much can we really?
So you think this has to do with Deion?
I think it does.
See, I definitely think he should have been considered, if not won the award. But I would also say I think what maybe whoever's on that committee or whoever's choosing those players, I think they may be looking at, for example, I think sometimes. Number one, I think they're looking at, well, he's probably going to get the Heisman anyway, or he's going to get considered for that. So we can.
That ain't right.
So you're right. I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to jump into the mind so we can kind of shift this award. We can look at other players. And 3 and 2, what I also think, and I would be interested who's on this committee, because I think one of the knocks they tried to make about Travis Hunter is that he doesn't have enough tackles. And what they don't realize is that if you a cornerback specifically or a safety and you got a whole bunch of tackles, your defense got a whole bunch of problems.
Whole bunch of problems.
And number one, if you don't have a bunch of interceptions, that might actually be a good thing because that means people ain't throwing to you. So I think how they're maybe assessing the defensive back position, and if you're only looking at stats, then it may go the other way. But you have to actually look at the game. But specifically, when you talk about a defensive back, you have to look at the game. You cannot look at a stat sheet. That doesn't really tell you the story.
Right.
Yeah.
Miss Lisa?
Oh, I'm really torn on this. I feel like he should have been nominated for this award. But I also feel like, I love Prime. I think he's great. But I think sometimes his presence intimidates people, and maybe they want to back away from him and maybe look at other players because of the fact that he's playing for Prime. I don't know. But I really feel like he should have been nominated. I think it's sad. I don't know what the reasoning could be, but, I don't know.
I think they're looking at stats, and I think that you cannot look at a defensive back and you cannot look at a stat sheet.
No, you
just can't.
You legitimately have to really watch the game.
That's what I'm saying. I think every other position, and I would say this: defensive back and offensive lineman.
Yes.
You can't necessarily just look at the stat. You have to watch the game.
Yes.
Everybody else, you can kind of assess stats and that may be your starting point. But those two positions, you got to watch the game.
And again, speaking to your perfect example of, getting interceptions one season and then not getting them next season, because if you got if you're playing corner and you get X number of interceptions one season,
we go the other way.
We've tested you and we realized, okay, no, we don't want to go there. Yeah. They're gonna go the other way.
They're gonna go the other way,
and you ain't gonna get a chance to get no interceptions.
Pass
breakups. Your stats are gonna be horrible.
Yeah.
The only thing you got is starts.
And the thing is, as a defensive back, I would almost say the least stats you got it's almost the better, because that just means that ain't nobody coming at your way. They're really avoiding you, and you got a whole side or a whole quarter of the field that you're just completely shutting down.
You look at guys like Ronnie Lott and those kind of safeties. Mm-hmm. They're not getting. For the most part, they don't get a lot of interceptions because nobody's really throwing a post route when you know that dude is right there. Because me as the receiver, I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
So don't even think about
keeping that real skinny.
Yes, that's a real skinny.
That's keeping that real skinny.
And I think the fact that knowing you have to understand that reality in order to judge or to critique, and because if you don't, you're going to cheat. You're going to cheat.
But maybe based off that. So maybe based off that, as far as that committee or that whoever does that selection of the Thorpe Award, maybe they're saying, well, look, these guys, they're being tested. They're going to these guys, and these guys are performing when they got the action their way. So based off that, then these guys are the better picks.
You're seeing action versus
we're seeing action. Yeah. We're not seeing action. So based off these guys are actually in the midst of the action, then they're maybe more deserving for this specific award, although we're saying Travis Hunter is probably the best player overall. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And that's a really great analogy. Yeah. It really is.
It doesn't matter because he's already said, Prom's already said he's going to dust off the dust.
Yeah, he's going to get one.
Yeah, right. He ain't giving that up.
What year from when he won it, so he's going to get one.
I bet he gives it to him.
Yeah, but I don't think
I don't know if he can appreciate it.
But I don't know if he deserves it. Like I said, if you're looking at the best, I'm just saying follow me because I actually maybe reconsider. If you're looking at the best defensive back, again, I'm saying you can't look at stats. You have to look holistically. But if I'm saying, like, look, these are the three guys that are actually seeing the most action. They're seeing everything come their way, running backs, passes, all that. And they've actually performed well in the midst of the action. Then they may be the better choice for that specific award. Although, Hunter probably is more ripe for a Heisman type award. But I think to not get considered is the problem. I'm not saying he probably should have won it, but I'm saying he's number 3 if nothing else.
I'm not sure he shouldn't have won it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
But I would say you got to get considered. But if I'm looking at it and I'm saying, like, look, these guys saw the action and they performed in the action where he's not necessarily seeing the same level of action just because of who he is and his acumen right now. So I'm saying I would probably give it to one of the other guys, but you gotta consider him. That's kind of just crazy to not consider him.
But
like I said before, I think it is definitely a sign or a look at Prime. I mean that they're tired of him. I think the media is tired of him.
I don't know if this is a Prime thing, but I don't know.
One of the interesting questions, Hollis, that you ask is like you don't know who's on the committee. That's what bothers me is these committees make these decisions and nobody knows who's even making it.
Or the criteria.
Or
right?
what the criteria is. Like, what are you judging it on? What made you decide that he wasn't even in the top 3?
Yeah, because I can understand there. I think I can sort of maybe, without knowing him, and I think I can sort of climb into what they're thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? Again, but to your point, are they watching the games?
Right.
Because if you're not watching the games and you're looking at a stat line, that's going to lead you down a different road.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so and it's one of those things where you have so many, obviously defensive backs to consider. Because what I would really like for him to do, like, I think it should be maybe a bigger panel, and they nail it down to, let's say, 10 guys, right? And then those 10 and then those 10 guys, then who's ever the selection committee, they have to watch every single game. Once it gets narrowed down, because you can't watch every 100 and sub plus games, right? But once it gets narrowed down, okay, we consider these 5 or 10 guys. Then you got to go back and watch every single one of those games, and you have to do an analysis game by game, and then you come up with the best
They could have done that with those 3 games. They could have done 3 games.
Not 3. You talking about 3 guys?
No, but when they got down to 3 guys, they could look at those games.
Oh, yeah, okay, even that. But whatever
once
it is.
Once you get down to the last group.
But I'm saying like get a bigger group. Like what I'm saying is get about 10 groups. That's gonna narrow you down to 3, your 3 finalists, and then from the finalists you go from there. You see what I'm saying? But you nail it all the way down because again,
easy for us. It's so easy for us to look from the outside in and say this should happen, that should happen. You know what I mean? I don't know what the committee looks like, but I think they're doing the best they can.
But if you're getting paid to do it,
you can't be wrong. You can't be that far off.
Yeah, you can't be that far. You cannot have him.
I mean,
the
a
top
potential
3.
player of the year.
Come on,
is not even in the position that he's playing. He's not even nominated.
That's crazy.
I mean, how does that work?
I just love you guys. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to get out of here. I'm going to give another shout out to Frankie Walker. Let's Talk is presented by I was trying to get it out. Hollis, you've got me all worked up. Let's Talk is presented by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. You can visit Frank Walker at frankwalkerlaw.com for more information. Lisa, Hollis, great show today, man.
It's burning up.
Yeah, it is hot. Lisa, you're probably in air conditioner. We're burning up in here.
Yeah.
So
I'm on vacation, so I'm going back to vacation, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get back with you soon. We're out of here.
Let's Talk with Carl Lee is presented by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. frankwalkerlaw.com. Comment on episodes, ask Carl and Hollis questions, or suggest topics at our Facebook page. Search for Let's Talk with Carl Lee, and remember to like the page to become part of the conversation.
If you fall, dust it off and get back up on your feet. Anything could be a win, yup, even defeat. They say sugar bad for you, why is victory sweet? Couldn't play with big kids, I had to sit in the street and watch from a distance, but over time I grew. If I put in the work, in no time I'm due. Everything that I worked and prayed, I'm okay. If you ask me, how did I do it, I'm gon' say, you gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting in, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work. 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 You gotta work.